Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters on That podcast. I'm your host, Brian. Today, welcome a special guest. We got Jacob Martin with the band Save the Villain. How you doing today, brother?
Howdy, hey, doing pretty good. What about yourself?
Not too bad. It's cold out here, and I'm assuming you guys get a good amount of snow too, because I'm assuming when I was looking at your Spotify page, you guys are out of Missouri?
So we are actually based out of Kentucky now. It's a Western Kentucky area, Central City, Kentucky. Sean used to live out in Missouri, and he just recently moved here to continue on with the band and get it up and going.
That's good to hear. I guess how's the weather down there? You guys getting pounded?
It's not too bad, not too bad. I think here we got about 4 or 5 inches or so, but it's nothing too major.
Only. It's good sled riding weather. That's what it was back in the day when we were kids. So, all right. But how you guys been recently? What's new?
Honestly, we got a lot going on in behind the scenes. We kind of like to keep ourselves fairly quiet with the behind the scenes stuff, but to, explain a little bit of it, we got some shows getting lined up as we speak. We don't have official dates yet, so don't want to talk too much about that. But we're looking at doing different shows throughout the entire U.S., trying to, widen our fan base a little bit and also get us out there more in general. We're also working on a couple new songs and behind the scenes too. One is set to drop in 2 days on the 13th. In my opinion, it is our best song, my favorite song so far. It's been a lot of work in progress, but it's turning out really, really good, and we can't wait for you guys to hear it.
All right, sounds good. Actually, you get to elaborate more on the music here in just a little bit here too, but I do have to pause for a quick joke because actually there's a band out of South Dakota that was actually called Pray for Villains. So we go from pray for the villain to now save the villain. So, yeah. But I'll ask about the name here in just a little bit here too. But nonetheless, Jake, host my podcast here, mate. And the way it's going to work is just going to ask you guys some questions. It's good to know you guys behind the music as well as who you guys are individually as well here too. So,
yeah.
You all ready?
Absolutely.
All right. So start here at the beginning here too. So I guess first off, tell the audience what role you play in the band, and then tell the backstory about how you became a musician.
I am the guitarist for the band. And a little backstory on how I got into music. Growing up, the game Guitar Hero, everyone's heard of it. Everyone loves it. I always played it all the time. I owned every single one that was out. I got it to a point where I could play on the expert level and whatnot, but, just doing that all my life pretty much, growing up into that game anyways, I ended up meeting the drummer of the band, actually, Garrett, and he turned out to be a musician. He played guitar, bass, everything. He's a well-versed musician. And, getting to become best friends with him because he was my neighbor growing up. He was just like, hey, well, if you could do Guitar Hero, try stepping in and playing the actual thing. So he ended up helping me learn guitar and whatnot, and always wanted to do band stuff. Absolutely always wanted to since I learned how to play guitar. And that's how we've ended up here, just bouncing around from band to band, and then finally got this one, and it's stuck, and we're doing killer things.
I guess I just meet Sean, and then I guess, is it just you three, or I guess who else is in the group?
Yeah, it's just us three. We're wanting to find a bass player. However, we want to find somebody who really clicks well with us and we can, connect with on a musical note, kind of sense, We don't want to just bring somebody in. We like to have a brotherhood family sense to our band. So we want to find that perfect somebody. So no bass player yet, but it's Garrett on the drums and Sean on vocals, and then I do guitar.
Because after you meet Sean, was he also someone from your school, or did you guys just meet on social media?
Believe it or not, there's actually a funny story to go along with that. So I've known his dad for going on like 8 years or something like that. He lives about 30 minutes away from me. And, I didn't really know that he had a son or anything up until about, I want to say 3 years ago or so. His dad ended up posting about him and was just like, yeah, man, I'm so proud of my son, for the things that he's accomplished. And, now he's starting to do this, after he left Message from Sylvia. And I was like, hold on, because I grew up listening to Message from Sylvia. Not necessarily grew up, but throughout my entire high school area of life, I only ever really listened to Message from Sylvia. So then I was like, no freaking way. what a coincidence. So I ended up talking to his dad about it a little bit, and then he was just like, dude, just shoot him a message, you know? So I ended up shooting him a message, and then for about the past, say, year and a half or so, we've been trying to get something going, but with him living in Missouri at the time and me here in Kentucky, it was just too much of a conflicting thing to be able to get it going.
That's why I moved up to Central City, Kentucky.
Yeah.
That's all cool. So I guess it's got jump into Save the Villain here too. So I guess tell the audience the history of this. I guess like how it came about.
Okay, so Save the Villain. We all kind of have a message that we want to spread. I know me personally, I battled with some dark stuff in life. Music was one of the things that truthfully helped me out a whole lot. There was always some kind of song that I could connect to that really helped me through the dark place. Same with Sean. He's had a dark place in life too. That music was what helped him. Same with Garrett. And so it was kind of one of those things that we connected on, and we wanted to be able to really send a message out to everybody to let them know that they're not alone, no matter what the situation is. We want people to feel welcome. We want them to know that they are loved, that there's always, like I said, and I cannot stress it enough, there's always someone there for them. And so if you go back and you listen to some of our songs and stuff like that, our songs either tell a message of what's going on in life that can make you feel that way, or trying to connect with a certain individual to let them know that, you know what I'm saying, they're not alone. So all of our songs, they have meanings behind them. They all have deeper meanings. And I mean, a lot of people could take it whatever way that they really want to. But I mean, as long as it gets that message across to you, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how it all started. We all had a message that we really wanted to get out.
So is each song like kind of like a metaphor, or do your lyrics always like kind of delve into like depression and that sort of stuff?
It kind of really depends on the song, really. If we feel like the song is a heavy-hitting song enough, we will, it'll just be straightforward with it. Like, in Who I Used to Be, that song, if you listen to the lyrics, it's all about not enjoying the person that you used to be and trying to grow into the person that you want to be. However, if you listen to Learning to Live Again, which is one of our newer ones, it has the metaphors in there throughout it and whatnot that kind of speak in the sense of trying to find that person. You know what I mean? So it really just depends on the song, how we're feeling about it and whatnot.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, actually, before hopping on here too, I actually did listen to a couple of songs and wrote them down right here and just want to make sure I got the song titles right. But I Refuse to Quit, Through the Pain, and Divided We Die. So those ones seem to be your big sellers right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I do have to ask, so who was doing the piano parts on I Refuse to Quit? Was that Sean?
So it's me. I play a little bit of piano too. However, whenever we do our shows and stuff like that, we'll use like backing tracks and stuff to go along with the song. However, in behind the scenes, Sean has also been learning piano himself because he really wants to be able to pull that off in person, and he's doing a killer job at it. We got to run through that a couple practices ago, and he made it through the entire thing, no mess ups, nothing. He absolutely killed it on the piano part. So I guess we could say Sean will be the pianist for it.
Eventually. Actually, I'd be doing some Journey songs next right there. Don't stop, believe. So, yeah.
Funny enough, actually, that's our stage opener. We do Separate Ways by Journey. I mean, it's a more heavier version of it, but it's pretty killer too.
I guess whose idea was that? Was that Sean's idea? Oh, it was your idea. I guess why'd you choose that one? Just because of the message behind it?
Not necessarily because of the message. Honestly, that was more of one of those things we wanted to incorporate some songs that everybody knows a little bit. We do some other songs too, but more specifically on the Separate Ways ones. We wanted a song that almost everybody knows, but also still holds a heavier sense to it. That way we can make it our own version and it have that beefiness to it, but also still be able to fluently make it our own and it still be readable. You know what I'm saying? So that was why we ended up choosing that one.
All right, fair enough. Just real quick, who came up with the band name there too? Because normally I think I'd say the villain. I'm thinking like this probably is related to probably one of the Disney villains that we suddenly have sympathy for. So was it kind of along those lines?
Honestly, it was Sean who ended up coming up with it. He constantly writes stuff down all the time. He has like little notepads with him that he'll write down to get like song lyrics out of and stuff. And one day that just came to him, save the villain. And, the more he thought about it, he really liked the message that it was. Because the message behind the band name is we're trying to save the people from becoming the villains. Because in your everyday life, not everyone is born into a villain. No one's really born into a villain. There's things that happen to them in their life that cause them to be the people that they are. You know what I'm saying? So the whole idea of save the villain, we're trying to reach out to those people before they turn into the villain. So he really liked the message of that, and that's what ended up sticking with it.
Yeah, I feel as much, but it's always good to check that first. So
Yeah.
keep doing what you're doing, mates. I guess, are you guys involved with any charities yet? Trying to like help people who are perhaps struggling, whether it is depression or addiction?
We currently aren't at the moment. However, there's been massive talk about it over the past month. We're wanting to try and find different benefit shows and different charities that we could help donate to and stuff. There's actually this really huge like telethon show that happens in Paducah that we're wanting to try and get on. I think last year they ended up making over like 2.6 million or something like that to give back to all these charities and stuff. So we're really trying to get on with that and, bring some more people in and stuff. We absolutely love the charity work in any way that we can help people out. We want to.
That's good. Keep doing what you're doing there, and I guess we can add that to the New Year's resolution is get more involved with.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. So, just real quick, who would you say was really a big influence in terms of guitar playing? I guess after Guitar Hero, because first I would say Slash because it was the one using those commercials, but I guess when you started taking guitar seriously, who really did you look up to influence you?
Honestly, Mark Tremonti from Creed, Alter Bridge, Tremonti. That's my guy, and he still is one of my biggest influences today. I absolutely love his tones that he has. Absolutely love his style that he has too. He has like this classical heavy sense to his playing, and I can't get enough of it. And I really try and incorporate that stuff back into our songs as well. Give a little taste of the Tremonti in there, but still keeping my own. But, absolute biggest influence. He is my guitar idol still to this day.
Go back to Guitar Hero, I guess. Were you able to do For the Fire and the Flames on Expert?
Hey. That one wasn't me. Couldn't do it. Failed every time. Attempted. Couldn't do it.
It's like one of those, you failed in the first 2 seconds. So.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Actually, it was always, I think it was when it got to like the 7 set list. That's when it was like, okay, this is probably getting a little too much, but I was able to get through it, but very much in a difficult manner. So
yeah.
It was still fun though, but I think Rock Band was more fun because of how much it expanded in terms of the bass, the keyboards, the drums.
And being able to add all those things was a game changer.
Well, it's funny you say that too, because actually Rock Band was actually what inspired me to take up drums.
Oh, for real?
Oh yeah.
Dude, that's so sick. That is so sick.
Actually, funny enough, there used to be a love seat, and then I used that as my so-called drum throne, and I had to put towels underneath because I was sweating so bad. But it's always something. So you see, video games were good for something, Mom and Dad.
Always tried to tell us they would never work, but hey, look, we're both musicians, so.
We're not like GTA where we're just hijacking that car and just driving 100 miles an hour, getting 2 stars for the police.
Imagine doing that in real life and translating that.
Then that villain is completely screwed in that case. No sense to try to save that villain. So, but I guess that get on a serious note. And sorry to do this, but I guess in terms of COVID here too, I guess how bad was it for you personally and family wise? And I guess. I don't know about the full history about the band right here too, but I guess how bad was it musically for Save the Villain?
So for myself, it kind of messed me up a little bit for me and my wife, which we didn't have our little one at the time, but it kind of messed us up because I was working at this one factory. I was making some pretty good money with it too, but then COVID hit. laid everybody off, never really hit us back up. And I mean, they set us up with like the whole unemployment stuff, but it was nowhere near compared to what I was getting paid. Nobody else was hiring and stuff. So that how that translates back to affecting me and my music, it ultimately ended up leading to me having to sell a lot of my music equipment that I really do wish that I still had today. So that definitely, it took a toll. It took a massive toll. But as far as the band goes, we weren't really a thing at that point. We've only been really strongly trekking and whatnot for about the past 9 months now or so, 9 months to a year. So it truthfully hasn't had an effect on us. However, going into the future of Save the Villain, and honestly, even right now as we speak, COVID really has had a huge impact on the music industry. It shut so many places down, to the point where most cities don't even have places where you can play at. Like, you could think about Philly. My dad lives out there. They used to have, I think it was 4 or 5 different, like, 5-star venues for bands to come in and play at. But where COVID came in, no bands were able to come in. They weren't getting the money in. All those places shut down. So it's hugely affected the music industry in general from COVID.
That's for sure. And I guess, were you and your family okay? You didn't get COVID, did you?
I ended up getting it 3 times. The first 2 times, it didn't really do anything to me. I tested positive for it on the first 2 times, but like the only thing that did was just like, hey, don't come to work for a week. But I pretty much just sat at home and I was perfectly fine. However, the 3rd time I got it, it knocked me out. I was not doing good.
Sorry to hear that too. I guess first off, it is good to see you and your family are doing well there, mate. So good to have you around here for the ride. So.
I appreciate it.
So I guess how's Philly been? I guess I don't know how recently you've been there, and I guess how's Central City been in terms of COVID afterwards? I guess have they been trying to rebuild, or is it more so tribute bands?
In Central City, honestly, in our area in general, and it's not even necessarily just our area. What we're finding a whole lot more of now in most areas is it has turned into like cover bands and tribute bands and stuff like that, because it's how these venues can bring in people through the doors. You know, you get some local original band and they're like, hey, we want to come in and play. They bring in a crowd of 2 or 3 people. Their alcohol sales aren't that great. The door sales aren't that great, whole 9 yards. But then you bring in, well, here's this 80s cover band that has a full light show attached to them. You're going to have that place packed out, which more sales for alcohol, more door sales for them, whole 9 yards. It looks better for them, which I can't knock them for it. These businesses, they do have to stay afloat and stuff. So I props to them for getting it all figured out. But it definitely has taken a toll in that sense. And I mean, like I said, as far as Philly goes with their music industry up there, it's taken a huge hit. They used to have, about 3 or 4 different like ship harbors out that way, where they had converted and put like hundreds of rooms in them and stuff. And it was like these places where these bands could come in and rent out. And they'd have like a studio in the basement, full-fledged studio that was free for them to use. They'd have these practice rooms with full-blown PA systems and everything. Half of them have shut down just because nobody wants to do any kind of band stuff anymore. You know what I mean?
That really bites.
Yeah.
Actually, I've been to Louisville a couple of times, but I guess where's that Central City in conjunction to Louisville?
It's about 2 hours away. It's basically directly straight up north from us.
Actually, I was always curious how Louisville had been recently, and as well as other parts of Kentucky there too, because I haven't been to too many places to be honest there too. In fact,
yeah,
where I actually got COVID was actually more of in Nashville, and actually,
oh yeah,
you go for over 2 years playing it safe, even though we did interstate travel and that sort of stuff, and then you go and start fist pumping and doing all sorts of bar hopping on Broadway, and you end up with COVID. So
yeah, it will take a toll.
It did knock me on my ass too, and I actually got a little fever, and that was about the worst of it there. And then afterwards, it was just a real bad cold afterwards.
Yeah.
So, fully vaxxed and everything, so feeling good. Feeling real good. Yeah. But like I said earlier, good to see you and the family are doing well there, and
yeah.
hopefully I was gonna say, hopefully better days are ahead for the Philly, and I guess also the central area there too, because in other interviews that I have done, they have talked about the rise of the more cover and tribute bands. And I even know my parents went to go see a Journey group a couple months back, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of those bands. You know what I'm saying? Because they've taken it to the next level for cover and tribute bands and stuff. They've really put forth the effort that was never really there to it. You know what I mean? They're really selling it. So I mean, I gotta say I'm proud of them. But I would like to see more original bands really trying to put their foot in the door and really step up, bring the music industry as a whole back up too. You know what I mean?
I would have to ask how they not do like any sort of legal sort of issues or anything like that. Because when you're out playing on stage, you're playing like a Kiss or a Journey, for instance, too.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the legal behind that, to be honest?
Honestly, I have no clue, but I definitely feel like maybe not so much cover bands, but tribute bands where they go all in. They're dressed like these bands. They got the exact same guitars as these bands and stuff. Oh, 100%. They got to have a legal team or something.
Something, but it's at least good that we get the music, even though it's the same 70s and 80s that we heard perhaps the 10 millionth time. So, okay. So I guess, have you guys played live yet for your group stage?
Yeah. We actually just played our first show on New Year's. It was a huge success. We were honestly shocked with the turnout that we had. You know, we were sharing our flyers and stuff like that. We had a bunch of people interested. Didn't know if they were actually going to be able to make it out, but we got there and we absolutely packed the place out from front all the way to the back. Was completely cram-packed full. So that was a super cool experience. You know, first show out and just absolutely hit it with a banger.
It's absolute fire, man. So yeah, that's cool. And I guess I didn't know if we're doing mosh pits. That's your venue there. I don't know if they did for your type of music though.
Not so much that one. Maybe in our next couple songs we'll get a little heavier with it and might get a little moshing going. Just a tiny bit. We'll see though. We'll see. We kind of just go with the flow. Yeah.
Okay. Just last one about Central City, because I'm curious if we can ever get out there. But I guess, what do you recommend to actually check out whenever people come in and visit Central City?
Man, I'm just going to cut it to you straight. Truthfully, really, the only place that I could recommend for Central City is Stellians. It's this like sports bar or whatnot there. But they have some of the best pizza I've ever had. They have some of the best wings that I've had, and it's honestly just a really cool place and stuff. As far as the rest of it goes, it's mainly you just got to watch out for like local bands coming and playing and stuff like that, because there's really not a whole lot to do here. Which you could travel I think it would be an hour and 30 minutes, and you could get to Nashville and you could have fun there. Or you could drive, I think it's the 40 minutes to Owensboro. Now, there's a lot to do in Owensboro. I can't really vouch for what's there just because I've only ever been there like 6 times in my entire life. But from all the people that I do know, there's a lot of stuff there. So those would be the places to check out.
All right. That way, need a tour guide. We know who to call then. So
hey, I got you back.
All right, sounds good. All right. And best of luck out there, mates. And I was going to ask if you did have any plans, but we won't spoil anything here yet. So, all right. So jumping in here to the next question, I guess. So what sort of gear do you guys have?
So we kind of have a lot of gear that we use for our shows. However, as far as Garrett goes, he runs a DW. Oh, I can't think of the name now. It's a brand new kit that he had just gotten. He was running a Pearl Vision kit for a good couple of years, but he seen this one, fell in love with it, had to get it. It's absolutely amazing. Like I said, can't really tell you what kit it is now because I can't even think of it. But he uses a DW. As far as my rig goes, I use a Line 6 Helix, running a Audio-Technica wireless system with a 7-string Legator Ninja R200. Fantastic guitar. It's amazing. But then I run through either direct into house or front of house and or through a cab. Just kind of depends on the venue, really. What kind of projection I need and whatnot, what kind of tones we're looking for and everything. And then Sean, he uses a Shure SM50. I think it's the SM58 wireless. I think that's what it is for his mic system. And then for our backing track system, we actually have a whole unit in there. It's so much stuff in there, but we use the Behringer X32 rack system along with it's a CAD in-ear system. It's just an all-in-one system. It was easier for us, worked best for us. And then we use the Scarlett. I don't really know much about the Scarlett interfaces. It's the 8-channel or 10-channel one. I don't remember which one exactly it is, but that's pretty much our entire system. And we do pack around like lights with us and stuff like that. Like we have some power lights and a couple moving heads and stuff like that. Really give more depth into our show rather just what the venue lights are if they don't really have any. So yeah, that's pretty much our entire rig right there as a band.
That's cool. Actually, I'm curious about backing tracks because is it normally someone who's just like standing with a computer and then like it will just simply maybe hit that button that would like start playing like this particular track? Is that how it works?
So there's multiple different ways of doing it. It's a whole lot easier if you have somebody setting it up who's done it several times before or knows what they're doing. However, in our case, we didn't really know what we were doing, but we set it up. So what we use is Studio One. We use Studio One 5 Pro. And so essentially what it is we use the interface, the Scarlett interface, and we'll send certain outputs directly to that interface, and then we'll plug it into the X-Air 32. And so usually what we'll have is we'll have the actual backing tracks for us, which is usually like the synth parts, the piano parts. We'll have bass parts in there too, since we don't really have a bassist right now. We pre-record our bass parts, and then we'll just have that queued up in the backing tracks. And we'll have it set up to where each song like flows directly into the next, whether we have to write a part that's like matches the ending of that song, just flows into the next one. So then whenever we just get up on stage, we'll start it right at the very beginning, and it just runs through everything. And we just really get into the feel with it and play along with it and whatnot.
I just asked because I never played live, and then some of the shows I have been, I think they always like start off with something, whatever is like that sort of keyboard intro that maybe like gives an ambience or something.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty much all it is for us, It really gives the ambience. Because, we could go out there without the backing tracks and we could play them. However, not hearing bass, just hearing one guitar, vocals, and drums, it's going to sound pretty thin sounding, you know what I mean, versus what our actual studio is. So what we strive to do with our live shows is really just bring what you hear in the studio out to you guys. We don't want there to be any kind of differences there. We want you guys to hear what y'all paid to hear, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Doesn't like the whole Kiss thing. You are the best. You got the best. That's our deal. And I guess real quick about the lights. Are these one of the ones like you hang on the ceiling there, or are they floor lights?
So we have our own lighting stands. What we usually do is it's par lights, probably about like yay big or so. They could change all the different colors and stuff, and we'll have 4 on the one side of the stage and 4 on the opposite side. And then we also have a couple moving heads that we'll have like set up on the side. And we also have these really cool tube lights. They look like fluorescent bulbs. However, they're color changing. And so what we'll do is set them up on 4 corners of the drum kit, and we have them synced up to like the sound and everything else like that. So the ambience in the lighting that it just gives on the stage is just super cool. It adds a deeper depth to it, you know what I mean?
Just like the lights turn red and we start the headbanging process right there.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'd say you're guilty of doing some headbanging whenever you're feeling it.
Absolutely. I'll fully get into it, and then I'll get done playing. I'm just like, my legs are burning. I can't do this again. And then, well, next time I play, I'm doing the same thing over and over again.
Hey, we like to be brutalized. It helps our spirit. Okay, that's cool. And I guess here, jumping into the next one right here, I guess, who's really like the main one that handles the social media? And I guess, what do you guys think of social media and AI these days?
So as far as the main one who handles all of our socials, it's mainly Sean. Me and Garrett, we do have some influence on there. Like we have access to all of it. You know, if we find something that we want to post, or we really just want to help out, take the load off of his shoulders, we'll go in and post on our socials and stuff. But he's mainly the businessman of the band. He's the mastermind behind all of it. He has the thought process, and he knows how he wants to get there and whatnot. So we honestly just kind of step back a little bit and let him do his thing. Because I mean, he's got us this far, so he's doing something right. You know what I mean? And then as far as like the whole AI and social media goes and stuff, the social media side of it, it's absolutely killer for bands, especially with where it is now. I mean, on one of our last TikToks that we posted promoting the new music video and new song that's dropping on the 13th, it ended up at like 56,000 views or something like that, and we gained over, I think it was 100 to 200 something more followers from that. Granted, it's not as much as we would have, liked to have seen, but like that is absolutely killer. That's more than anyone could ask from just one video. So it is super helpful and beneficial for original bands to get their stuff out there. And as far as AI goes, as long as it's used properly, and I feel like it's used the right way, it can be super beneficial. I will say I see, a couple artists out there that are making like serious songs, and I can't even mention them by names. It's just ones that I've heard, But I've heard some AI generated songs that are like super serious and whatnot, and these people are making like millions of views off of it and stuff. And I don't think it's necessarily fair for the music industry in a sense, because you got people that are pouring their hearts out into these songs over here that they have worked for, they've recorded all the parts for and everything else like that. And you'll see maybe like 2 or 3 views on it, no matter how much they promote it. Then you got this one over here where they typed in, write me a love song about heartbreak and getting over it. And then it does it for them, and it's chilling at like 120-some thousand views, I don't think it's necessarily fair. However, what I mean by if it's used properly, it could be super cool. There's a guy on Spotify, and his name's called Boy What. He's basically taken SpongeBob characters, and he's wrote all these like metal songs and stuff like that using their voices and stuff. Like there's one called Plan Z. Absolute killer, dude. It's one of my favorites. It's on my Spotify liked playlist because it just goes super hard. And it's Plankton singing the whole thing and doing like the screams and stuff, and then his little computer Karen or whatever, she comes in and playing it and everything. Yeah, it's super cool. So if it's used properly, I feel like it's a super cool tool.
What was that? That puts Tenacious D to shame right there.
Man, I'm telling you.
I should just picture them doing like a Knock Loose sort of song next. Maybe.
Oh, dude, that would be killer if they could do it.
I think I'd be just laughing so hard, to be honest, just hearing the voices all by it.
That's pretty much how I was whenever I had first heard the Plan Z song. I was just listening to it because my wife she had pulled it up and she was showing me, and I was just like, why do I know this voice? This sounds so familiar. Who is this? And she showed me, and it was Plankton. I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me.
Yeah, well, I'm actually curious which one was like Mr. Krabs talking about it there too. Actually, you could do like a Pink Floyd too, like the money. Oh my gosh. Whatever next. Ugh. It's a crazy world out here too. It's bad when we're doing something with SpongeBob SquarePants.
Hey, if it works, it works.
Somehow it works. Actually, do you guys use any AI? I guess for artwork and music wise?
Honestly, all of our stuff is fairly it's done by us. Honestly, we put a lot of thought into going into details on these different things. I think we used AI for the Learning to Live Again background. I think we have that background on a couple songs and whatnot, which if you pay attention to it, we're kind of trying to tell a storyline with that too, but like with like our actual song covers, you know what I mean? We're kind of trying to tell a story with that, but if I'm not mistaken, I think we did use a little bit of AI for that. Just because it's kind of hard to find graphic designers that aren't willing to not necessarily take a cheap payment, but one that's in our budget, you know what I mean? There's just none that are in our budget. They'll charge like $500-$600 plus the watermark that you got to get for it and everything else like that. It's just easier just to type in a prompt that we want, go through and find one that we like, you know what I mean?
You know, yes. At the same time, that's also the bad thing about it too, because that's why they keep jacking up the price.
Yeah,
So,
because now you got AI coming in that's able to just do it for 30 seconds and maybe like $2 for the watermark for it. So
something like that. And actually, I know a couple bands. They were like heavier metal sort of groups, right? Two. One was DSI, one was Pestilence. And they were kind of taking heat because people were upset that they were using AI for their artwork for their newest releases that they were coming out
yeah,
with.
I mean it's a helpful tool. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't say that we use AI for all of them because we truthfully don't. Um, we do, go in and whatnot. Like on the Through the Pain, who I used to be, like that artwork that was fully designed by us. But in a sense of easiness and just trying to find something that works for us, it's our best option right now. You know what I mean?
But then again, we're tight on space, on money, and that's it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I can see why. Actually, I did the picture for you guys, and I'm seeing it on Spotify there too. It looks like almost like a vertical. I would say M in a sort of way. I'm not sure if it's a V, but
yeah, it's supposed to be a V for villain. And we actually did that. That's in our studio. I want to say it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago now or something like that. We were sitting there and we had an idea pop in our head for the Better Days music video, and we were like, hold on, stop everything, we got to do this like right now before we forget. So we ended up shooting the whole music video there at Sean's house, and it's super cool. And those are actually our tube lights, and they will be a part of the music video as well. But that was set up for one of our shots in the music video. Oops. But that was set up for one of the shots in our music video. The V was, and we had brought it out to try and get like an ending shot, and then it didn't actually end up making the cut for the music video. But then we were like, that looks absolutely killer. So then we just set it up to get it really taken good, and that's how that photo ended up becoming our like logo photo. I don't know what you would necessarily call it, but band photo. We can leave it at that.
So the band pick, but same thing. Actually, I was gonna say they get all serious. The arms crossed and everything there too. These boys mean business. We are bad motherfuckers.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, that's cool. Actually, who did the production for? I guess music-wise, sounded pretty killer when I was listening to it on Spotify.
So as far as our music production goes, it kind of really varies. Really, however the song is going. There's a couple songs in there where I came up with the idea. I'd send it over to them, and if they're like, absolutely, that's killer, see what you could come up with it, I'll either end up finishing all of like the guitar parts and like the background parts and stuff. I'll send it over to Garrett. He'll lay the drums down on it. Then he'll send it to Sean. Sean will get the vocals down on it, and then he mixes it all out and stuff. And we'll send it back and forth several times before we're all like, okay, I like the way that sounds. But that's pretty much how our writing process goes. Now, if we're in person and we'll come up with an idea, we'll sit down if we're not like busy trying to actually rehearse or something like that. But if we have an idea, we'll sit down, we'll write the whole thing as just like a bare minimum scratch track, and then we'll record it. Sean will send it my way, and then I'll get that fully brought up, and then the same process goes from there. So that's pretty much our whole process. It will work, or it's what works for us. Makes it super easy, and yeah.
About to say, damn son, he knows what he's doing. So, he's thinking and shit. So,
oh yeah.
do you guys have any studios in Central City, or I guess wherever in around there? I guess.
So we don't necessarily have any studios in Central City. Ours is really the only studio, which we do have open up for the public. It's not necessarily a widely known thing. However, we've had some people hit us up already and just like, hey, could we come, cut a track there at y'all studio? No problem. Absolutely. We like being able to help out in that kind of sense too. But, our studio is really the only studio that's truthfully open there. But we just have our own studio made, honestly.
It's a good man. I was gonna say it could be a nice side hustle, but are you guys just giving it to him for free?
If it's a close person to us or whatnot, then we'll cut out some kind of deal or something with them. You know what I mean? But we've had a couple local people that we don't really know that have been like, hey, we've seen y'all studio. Is there a way that I could come in and we'll work out a price that works out. You know what I mean? We don't want to like rip people off of it because truthfully, we don't necessarily know exactly what we're doing, but we do have enough knowledge where we could cut an absolute killer track. You know what I mean? You've heard all of our stuff. All of that is self-produced. There's no engineers. There's no producers. None of that. All of that is solely us.
I'm thinking, damn, that's pretty darn good. I'll give it to you guys.
Appreciate it.
Anyways, so I just think it was almost like CNBC's Shark Tank. Just come on here and try to cut a deal with the Sharks. Central City studio. So yeah, I keep doing what you're doing. So appreciate what you guys are doing out there. But I guess this one could tie with this question here too. I guess what challenges do you guys feel like you face these days as musicians?
Honestly, just trying to get out there further. You know what I mean? Goes back to the whole social media thing. As much as social media does help us, it also kind of hinders us a little bit because it's a lot of like these like socials and stuff like that. They want you to pay in money to get like your stuff really spread out and everything. Because it helps them out too, but also it kind of screws us because we can't really get our name out there. You know what I mean? And as far as like doing it back in the old days, you can't really do that anymore. Used to, I could sit on the phone, give me about 2 hours, and I could call places all the way from here to California. And I can have an entire full-fledged tour laid out, set up, whole 9 yards. We're going to be getting paid this amount at every single show. You can't do that now because now most of these venues are just like, well, if you don't have at least 1,000 monthly listeners, we're not even going to look at you. Which that also goes back to, these places, they got to bring their money in, you know what I mean, just to stay afloat. So I do understand it, but it is a huge challenge for us because then that goes right back into, well, you need to sink money into this to get more views on it so that it could be spread out. And it's just it feels like a never ending circle. And honestly, it could be a turn off to most musicians trying to make it in the industry right now. But I feel like, as long as you just keep pushing forward, you'll get there. Because, like I said, one of those last TikToks that we posted, 56,000 views or something like that. It just takes time. You gotta put in a lot of work into it, which we've put a fuck ton into it so far.
Yeah, we're not holding back. We put in a lot of material, to be honest. But I think at the same time, I think you're kind of screwed with TikTok because I think an article I was reading yesterday was saying the Supreme Court's considering the ban on TikTok pretty soon. So, because what's the alternative in that case? Going to focus more on Facebook and Instagram?
Yeah, honestly, there's a couple, couple other apps that are kind of sort of taken off that are pretty much TikTok just with a different name. So, kind of hoping that those end up working out if TikTok does get banned. But ultimately, we're really hoping that TikTok doesn't get banned because that's how we're, really spreading ourselves out a whole lot. We're doing pretty good on Facebook right now. We're chilling at, I think it was last time I checked, 2,700, almost 28. So we're doing pretty good on Facebook, and we got a pretty killer following on there. But man, I hope TikTok doesn't get taken away.
Yeah, let's see what happens. But
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, but I don't think I'm pretty pessimistic about it, to say the least. So
yeah.
All right. But just real quick for the audience, I guess, what social media are you on currently? I know you said Facebook and TikTok. I guess what else?
So we are on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We do have a YouTube, which we don't really post too much on there. There's a couple covers that we do of like some of our songs that we've made acoustically. Like we have a cover up of Who I Used to Be on YouTube, and it's absolutely killer. If you haven't listened to it, you should go check it out. But yeah, those are really the only socials that we are on right now, just because those are kind of like the main priority socials. there's not really a whole lot of attraction to other ones. And Twitter for us, I feel like Twitter for us is not, or X, yeah, X now. That alone goes to show we don't know nothing about it, so we'd just make a fool out of ourselves trying to use it.
We just improvise. That's how we go about it. So, just go with the flow.
Yeah.
I guess some of the stuff you have talked right here, I guess, what sort of advice would you give to musicians on social media and I guess in around your neck of the woods?
Man, I was just talking to my buddy about this yesterday. Content. You can never produce enough content for your socials, because the way the social media platforms work nowadays is the more you post, the more, people are going to be apt to share it. They're going to be more prone to seeing it on their feeds in general. So, the more content you get out there, the better off you are. A lot of bands seem to think, we gotta get our name out there by passing out flyers. Well, we gotta play at all these venues and stuff. You can really grow your fan base from just content, as long as you're posting, every day. Maybe not even necessarily every day, but if you learn what time your fans are really active on your page and really start to give you the interaction, get you up a post, make it up, you know what I'm saying, and then post it like 20 minutes before everybody starts to get active or something like that. That'll really promote getting people on there,
That's for sure too. Though I think at the same time it's a bit of a mental strain whenever you think about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because for us, it's absolutely killer for us. Because we have sat in our studio a couple times and we're just like, okay, we're out of ideas. What are we going to do? What do we post? We need something, you know what I'm saying? But it could definitely be a mental strain, and it can get tiring too. I know there's a couple times where, we'll hit a point where we're just like, hey, Sean, I need you to come up with something to post. I can't even figure something out. I'm tired of beating the dead horse, you know what I mean? Not necessarily dead horse, but you get what I mean by that. Or vice versa. Whoever is trying to come up with something for that day, we'll just hit a brick wall, and we're just like, I can't do it. I literally can't do it. So then we'll pass it off to the next and whatnot. So hopefully, after 3 of us get through to it, we could come up with something to post. But it's definitely mentally draining. It can take a massive toll.
I think instead of dead horse, maybe just screaming at a wall at this point. So
pretty much.
Something like that too. But all right, thank you so much for the advice right there. That does mean a lot. So, okay. So Jake, we've reached the questions here pretty good. So yeah, let's jump into some extra fun questions. Ready?
Alrighty, I'm ready for it.
All right. So I'm curious if there's a special dish somewhere in Kentucky that we haven't heard about. But I guess what is currently your favorite food?
Pizza. Quite literally, anything to do with pizza. Pizza rolls, hot pockets that are pizza flavored, pizza itself, pizza pasta, pizza that the inventor of pizza needs eternal life, honestly.
I was trying to remember because I think the funny thing they talked about spaghetti was it actually was one of those things that were made in China. And somehow worked its way the whole way over to the Mediterranean. Yeah. And they just took the idea and they just, I guess at some point threw tomatoes all together. They ate spaghetti, so there you go. And then I forget what it said in terms of how pizza came about, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was also one of those things. It's made in China. It made its way through the Silk Road and all that other stuff. Eventually made its way to the Mediterranean.
Hey, I don't know the history on it, but I can tell you the history of it getting here and in my belly. So thankful for.
There's actually quite a few pizza joints in my neck of the woods. Actually, that's what we're having tonight for dinner. But I guess you talked about that one place earlier that was
Stellians.
Stellians. I guess is that where you get the pizza, or is there other pizza joints you tend to branch out to?
So I currently live in Elkton, Kentucky, which it's about 40 minutes away from Central City, and it is in the middle of nowhere. So if you're driving there, if you look to your right, it's cornfields. If you look to your left, it's woods. You go about 20 miles. If you look to your right, it's still cornfields. If you look to your left, it's still woods. It's middle of nowhere. But the real only place that we have pizza-wise is Hunt's Brothers Pizza. But I'll still absolutely tear it up. If it's pizza, I'll eat it.
It's like the Incredible Hulk just ripping out the front end whenever he sees a pizza box. So,
Yes. Yes.
Hulk, devour. Yeah, a great choice there. So the next one right here, I guess, what would you say is currently your favorite movie? And if you have a favorite TV series you'd like to share, go ahead.
So, favorite movie, it always has been and will always be my favorite. The movie Rockstar has Mark Wahlberg in it. It's an older movie. I think it came out in like 2004 to 2006 area, something like that. Absolutely love it. It's basically about him being a part of a tribute band for Steelheart. I think that's what it was. But he, ends up getting kicked out of that band, and he told them, I'll be somebody someday. No, you won't, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. He ends up getting invited to play and be the vocalist for that band. And it's just such a good movie, and it has such a good message because, it really describes what it can be like on the road. Because without telling too much spoilers into it, towards the end of the movie, he realized, how lonely it can get on the road as a touring musician and whatnot, and just like the struggles of it and whatnot. It's a really real movie, you know what I mean? It tells a lot, but such a good movie, absolute all-time favorite movie. As far as TV shows, I'm currently late to the party, but I'm currently binge watching Breaking Bad. It's been pretty solid so far. Absolutely love it so far.
I guess what season are you on right now?
Season 3, I think it is now. It's like season 3, episode 4, or something like that. So, yeah, it's absolutely killer. Sean actually recommended it to me because I was running out of ideas on shows to watch. And he was like, dude, you got to watch it. You got to watch it. So I eventually sat down and watched the first episode. It was kind of boring. By the second episode, I was hooked.
Something too when you see the guy that was practically desiccated body just coming through the bathroom floor because he put the wrong sort of acid in.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's definitely a gruesome show. That is for sure. Was not expecting that, but...
That's for sure. But I was late to the party to it too, but I finished it a while back. So you're in for a good treat. So
sweet.
I'll give you that much too. You'll like season 4. I love the ending of season 4. So I only spoil that much. So
yeah, you can't spoil no more, man. I got to be stuck on it.
Did you watch The Sopranos at all?
Honestly, never heard of that.
Sopranos is actually one of those crime mafia sort of TV series there too, based out of New Jersey and along New York there.
Oh yeah, I'll probably absolutely love it then. I love like crime shows like that, like The Rookie, Lucifer, Law and Order, CSI. Love those shows. Any kind of law show like that, I'm in for it. And what did you say it was called?
The Sopranos.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to remember that. That'll probably be the next one we end up watching.
Yeah, you like it, but brace yourself for some good profanity. I'll tell you that much. Okay. So I don't know if you do drink alcohol, but if you do, what is your favorite alcoholic drink, and then what's your favorite non-alcoholic drink?
So as far as alcoholic drinks go, I don't really drink too much anymore. I used to be a party animal. Ended up getting hurt pretty badly from it. Won't necessarily go into that, but yeah, no. So I don't really drink a whole lot, but whenever I do drink, it's kind of a odd choice of drink. However, it is super good if you can get the mixture right. Jameson Irish whiskey mixed in with Milo sweet tea. Oh my goodness, it is so good, dude. It is so good. And then as far as non-alcoholic goes, Milo sweet tea.
Still circle back to Milo in some way,
Yeah.
shape, or form. So yeah,
I could
guess so.
probably down an entire gallon of Milo sweet tea in a whole day. It's a problem.
it's a new addiction to say the least. So, actually, was this the whole thing with alcohol? Was this like one of your dark periods in life that you try to convey in your lyrics too?
Not necessarily a dark period, just a lot of me not realizing the direction that I was going. I kind of turned into wouldn't necessarily say an alcoholic, but for a good solid want to say 4 or 5 months of me starting out in college, I was drunk almost every single night. I was turning into a very bad party animal, basically. And honestly, I'll dive into it a little bit. One of my bands at the time, we had ended up playing a show, and we got off at like 1 or so in the morning. And I was feeling a little bit tipsy and whatnot, and we decided to go have a little bit of adventures on a UTV. Didn't turn out that well. Ended up spending 3 months in the hospital in Vanderbilt. Had to learn how to walk again. It was like, I think, 4 back-to-back surgeries that I had to have on my legs. I got messed up pretty bad. So since then, I don't really hardly ever drink. If I do, it's like a glass or two here and there, where I can control myself and whatnot. So, and I don't want to sound like an alcoholic, because like it wasn't necessarily an alcoholic thing. I was just living in a very strict household per se, going into a college life, living in dorms where there's no rules pretty much. It was kind of just like, yeah, fuck all rules. I'm going to live my life the way I want. And, well, it turned bad, so.
Now you know why. So.
Yeah. Rules for a reason. Listen, kids.
Yep. Yeah, it's good to see you're doing well there. So I'm sorry to hear about
it.
That stuff that happened there too. But as I say, drink responsibly.
Yes. Always drink responsibly. Always have a DD. Don't do anything stupid. Cannot stress that enough.
That's rule number 1. Don't do anything stupid, as it is.
Yeah.
Okay. And for the last of the fun questions right here, this one's probably going to put you on the spot, but let's see what you got. What would you say is currently your favorite song? If you want to list one from the mainstream world and then one from the independent community, go ahead.
Yeah, you got me on the spot with that one. Oh, that was good. Oh, that one's a real good question. Oh, man.
If it also helps, it could also be a band that you've been listening to either recently or probably still a whole good bit these days.
Honestly, I'm probably going to have to go with Crooked Soul by Dayseeker. That is my favorite song. I just love, and truthfully, Dayseeker in general is one of my favorite bands right now. Their whole tying in of the 80s synthwave kind of music into the new school modern metal music. Absolutely love it. But yeah, Crooked Soul by Dayseeker or Crying While You're Dancing by Dayseeker. It's a toss-up between those two. They're both really good. And then as far as independent goes, so my friend's band's Shallow Side. They're based out of Alabama. Their song Filters that they had just released not too long ago, it's pretty killer. Or their other song, The Worst Kind. Both of those are pretty killer songs. So yeah. Dang, yeah, that was a good question. You did get me on the spot a little bit with that.
Yeah. Actually, people normally struggle with it, but it's not really been like listening just like bands, for instance, there too, because they're thinking like, it's too tough. I don't know which one to pick. So yeah. So it was like they fear what they might come, or they come in the night and stare at your window, that sort of deal. Sort of like a bad horror movie in a way. So, but thanks for sharing that too, mate. But that's what I could also put you on the spot. I know I meant to ask this earlier, but I guess how would you describe like your genre of music? Would you say it's like an alternative sort of style?
Yeah, as of right now, I'd say it's more alternative than anything. We've kind of, if we were still doing as much screams as we were doing, I'd give it a little more of a heavier classification. But right now, with the music that we have been doing and what we're producing right now as we speak, it's definitely more of an alternative. It's a newer school alternative, I'd say.
Should we say post-alternative? Because I know they always said about post-punk, that sort of deal. So.
Yeah, I guess post-alternative. Yeah, I'd classify it as that.
Did we just create a new genre? Oh my gosh. We could add it to the list now. So. Right. Thank you so much for sharing that too, mate. All right. So, Jacob, we're down to one more question on my podcast right here. But before we jump into it, would you like to ask me any questions or say any final words before we jump into it?
Yes, I would actually like to say a quote that we feel resonates really well with us, if that's okay. Let me get this pulled up here real quick. It's not necessarily a long quote, but it's a fairly decently long quote. enough where I'm going to have to read off of it. So it's more of a statement, rather. But the history of villains is much more entertaining than those of heroes, because monsters are not born, they are created. They do not emerge from emptiness or darkness on their own accord, but are shaped by circumstances, by the wounds of the world around them. They reflect the depth of the human pain, rejection, loneliness, and misunderstanding. A hero is defined by his acts of bravery, but a villain is the result of a heart that was once pure and ended up corrupted. Monsters in their tragedy show us what could happen to all of us if the world were to turn its back on us. And that kind of reflects back into the band. And why I wanted to share that is because that's kind of a message that we want to get out to the world. That statement / quote, it means a lot to us, because that is our message that we want to spread. You know what I mean?
I'll find out that's kind of the last question I wanted to hear too, which what would be your message of hope for people out there who struggle with COVID or dealing with anything else in their lives, like depression or anxiety or addiction? That's what I meant.
Man, it's just keep pushing, honestly. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Give me just 1 second. Sorry about that. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I've gone through it. Sean's gone through it. Garrett's gone through it. I know a lot of people who have gone through it. It doesn't matter where you're at in life. It doesn't matter what you got going on. Keep pushing. Keep grinding. If at first it doesn't work, get back up and try again. You will get there wherever it is that you want to be at in life. Just keep pushing.
Cool Pulp Fiction. Spoke like a true prodigy. So, there. Thank you so much for sharing that, Jake. Does really mean a lot. So.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Did you have any questions for me? Because I felt like I didn't give you a chance to, if you wanted to ask any.
Honestly, no. I think we covered both sides of our stories pretty well throughout this whole interview. It was pretty good.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we have Rich Hammer podcast here, Jake. Would you like to give any shout-outs? And I guess any other final words if you have any.
Go check us out on Spotify, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, you name it. We got videos posted up everywhere and whatnot. And stay tuned for the 13th. We do have our newest song, Better Days, set to release, as well as our music video that will be released on our Facebook page, as well as our YouTube page.
All right, sounds good. So, everyone, my guest today was Jacob Martin, hailing from the lovely state of Kentucky right here. He's part of the band Save the Villain, along with Sean and Garrett. Hopefully I get a bass player at some point, but we'll see what happens. But
we'll see.
We'll see. But make sure you go hit them up on all socials, all streaming platforms. Not sure what their dates are yet in terms of playing with any shows yet, but we'll see what happens. But if you see these boys in your neck of the woods, go check them out. It's going to be... I was trying to think of something in terms of stellar or something, maybe like a book sort of experience, a fantasy sort of experience in a way. So we'll see, something like that. So, all right. But Jacob, thank you again so much for what you guys do out there too. Keep spreading the message of love and everything else out there too. Stay safe, because you know it is a crazy world.
Indeed.
Stay tuned.
Adios.